Hi everyone, welcome to another installment of the bedroom ensuite renovation, and I'll take you through a few things that we've done over the last couple of days and see what you think. Okay, it's Sunday, and last couple of days have been pretty productive. So, got a lot done. Not sure where I left off with the last little snippet of video footage, but probably explained I needed some extensions for the hoses underneath. So we now have that. We now have the extensions on these two taps, which is good. The LED lighting is sitting in there at the moment. I haven't had a chance to do that. I thought there was more important things to do today, but I've got it all laid out and I've just got to peel the backing tape off and stick it in where I want. But I don't want to do that until I speak to my bestie about these little pressure switches, trigger switches, whatever you want to call them, how we're actually going to wire it in first. Because obviously, you cut this, there's no wire to go in there. So I think what's going to happen is we will wire we've got some cable down there. We'll wire the cable into the transformer and then jump that into the first switch and then jump that into the second switch, and then out of the second switch, I think then we run the LED strip. I think that's how it works. I'm not sure, but he'll tell me in the morning. Still haven't done any of the fastening in of these, but that will get done tomorrow as well. Tail rails up, seats on for the bidet, obviously. I did buy a longer hose for the cistern, which looks much nicer. I did buy a hose. I tried to buy a hose with a double 90 on it, so that basically it would kick around here, and the same with the other. I could not, from the hardware store, I could not get one. I could only get a single ended 90. Bought it home and then realized that the rubber stopper or plug that should be on the end of the fitting was missing on one end. So I tried to make do with a couple of other hoses that I had. I tried to find the right connection to go on there. Well, it turns out it was just a flat rubber washer, not actually a tapered head washer. We'll call them washers. They're rubber washers. But in the end, I just didn't. I wasn't happy with it. So I'm going to take that back tomorrow and go to the plumbing supplies and try and get a double-ended 90. So that will then finish the toilet inside here, plumbing wise. The other thing that I needed was the elbow that comes off the cistern that goes into the bowl. I've had to move the bowl out by, I don't know, considerable amount, maybe 80 mil, to allow the seat to sit up straight. Before it was sort of sitting like that, which is no good. It needs to go all the way back. So the pipe I had on there was too short. I tried to get the pipe from the hardware, but they didn't have one, and this particular pipe has two different diameters. It has a larger diameter going into the cistern and a smaller one going into the bowl that's taken up with a big rubber washer insert to make up the distance, the difference. So I need to get that specific fitting, which obviously they sell because I have one, but the hardware doesn't keep them. They keep one that's the same diameter, geez, I'm tongue-tied today, same diameter on each end, but it's no good for this application. So yeah, the good thing is that with the toilet bowl having come out 80mm, I can now re-drill the mounting holes for the bowl, because the screws that I put in wouldn't tighten up. Now, I've used the right drill bits. I know exactly what size these are. I actually had to knock these plugs into the tiles / concrete slab, so they weren't a loose fit, they were a tight fit. But once I put the screw in, nope, didn't want to tighten down. So I'm going to re-drill. I'm going to use a small, the next size down drill. It'll be even tighter to knock them in, but I don't really care if I crush them, because if I crush them, it's going to be a super tight fit, and I can live with that. So yeah. Shower screen went in today. Still needs to be cleaned. Probably looks clean in the footage. Still needs to be cleaned. I'm not happy with it. Remember, it sat out under my carport for about 6 months, so it's sort of got like I don't know what they call it. It's sort of like a rain residue from, like, the glasses have been sitting out in the weather for a long time, but it was under the carport, so it wasn't directly in the out in the rain. But I think with dust blowing in and stuff settling on the glass, it just needs a really, really good polish. I don't think Windex with a piece of paper or a cloth is going to cut it. I think I need to use something a little more not abrasive, but something that's really going to take the grime off it. So maybe once I got the door on, there's a product that you can buy. There's multiple products you can buy, but everybody always refers to it as shower power. So maybe I can use some shower power to spray on the inside, because it's only on the inside. So there could have been some residue left over from when this was fitted up to another house, when it was in another house. So yeah, I paid $10 for the entire screen with the door and all the trims that come with it. So it's not a bad deal. It's probably, I don't know, maybe $900 screen. There's a couple of little scratches in these C channels that go up against the wall, but I'm not really worried about it. Like, I can't even see them now. So when shadows fall, yeah, it's sometimes they work to your advantage, sometimes they don't. Now, one issue I've come across is this trim down here that I put on. I grouted underneath it, as I said I would, but just due to where the vanity and the mirror sit, it's exposed the cutouts in this extrusion. But I was very lucky that when this was fitted in another house, this actually came with some aluminium right angle, which I think they would have put in here. I think they just siliconed it in there. I don't know why. I would imagine that their shower opening was a bit bigger than this, and that this screen wasn't a perfect match for their bathroom. So they've had to push the trim back as far as they could, and then put like a filler trim in there. Well, I've got those two trims in there in really, really nice condition. So I'm just going to take one of them and stick that straight on top of that trim, and then all those little cutouts will disappear. So that's worked out really good. Probably pointed out the other day that I'd put the taps in, or the tap handles on. I haven't worked out what to do around the top here yet. Whether I need to silicone them. There was nothing in the instructions that told you how to actually, what to do with these. There's no seal there. There is a seal around here though, around the tap. So no water will get in through this section, but I don't know about around here. So I might put a very, very fine bead of silicone. I'll pull this forward. I'll actually pull the, I can't do it now, but I'll pull the cover forward. I'll put some on the edge of the cover, and then I'll push it back and then just wipe the excess up so that I don't have a bead that's almost hidden. Shower roses went in today. Now this was my choice of shower roses. This is how I wanted to do it. I wanted to have one with the extra handheld handpiece. Well, I'm not sure what you call it. And I wanted to have just a normal one. I didn't want to have double hoses in here, because although it's a big shower, it's not, I can't see that it's big enough to justify having two of these. Like this will stretch right across here anyway. So really, if you need to use it, if there's two people in the shower and you need to use it for whatever, you just pick this shower. You don't get under this one. Now, one of the things that I am very, very disappointed in is these were a set, supposedly a set, and I ordered them as that, but this one sits higher than this one. Now, my mounts are all in the same, my outlets, my brass outlets are all in the same, at the same level, so we're right on the grout joint here, and the same here, we're right on the grout joint. So I know that my taps are sitting, or my outlets are sitting perfectly level, but it seems the stem, the neck here on this one is longer for this, obviously, because it's got to clear the top bar. But yeah, it's I don't know. To me, it sort of looks odd. It looks odd. Like I said, they're a matching set, but I am disappointed. I just don't understand why they didn't make the neck longer on that one. But I'm not changing them. I've paid for them. I bought them now, and you know, it's gonna stay. With this one too. This one you're able to tighten up from behind so that the neck doesn't spin. This one here has a plug. There's nothing behind. There's no grub screws behind. This moves pretty easy, right? And I was looking for a way to tighten it up, and I popped this plug out hoping that there was a grub screw in there, and it comes, both the shower roses come with two different size Allen keys. So I thought, oh, obviously if this little knob comes out, there's a hex key grub screw in there. But no, it's not. So I got the torch just to make sure, and I thought it might have been a Phillips head screwdriver. It's not a Phillips head. It's basically nothing. So I don't know how to tighten this up, and there is a bit of play in it. This actually needs to be tightened up to go back, but I don't know how to tighten it, and again, there was no instructions in the box. So yeah, that's been a little disappointing today. Shower roses, but everything else has pretty much gone to plan. This side was really easy to get this C-channel trim in, so I screwed that to the wall first, and then we bought the shower screen in with this trim on, but we'd already pushed it down maybe 200 mil past the shower screen itself. So we bought a milk crate in, and we actually sat the frame on a milk crate, and that allowed me to put a screw in here. And then what we did is we pulled the milk crate out and we let the screen drop. We had to help it. It just didn't drop it. It was a tight fit. It's very, very tight in this C-channel here. So we got it down, and then in the top, I pre-drilled this before we came in, but we put a screw in through the top. So I'm going to reach right up with the camera, and you might be able to see that. We've gone in through the top. You can't see it from the side. No one will ever know that it's fastened in that way, but that's the way we've done it. So we've actually only got 2 screws in the side here, which is ample. It's ample. I know that I used really long screws as well, because I know we've got like 100 and whatever that is, 100 and I don't know, 4, 8, 12, what's that, 100, 130, 140 mil of timber in there. So we used really, really long screws and just drove them home. So this will never move in a million years. It only needs 2. This side only had 3. So, yeah, it'll be fine. I will silicon tomorrow in along the seams on both sides. I've already put a bead of silicon under there. Before we actually took the milk crate out and lowered this down, I put a big bead of silicon right underneath the that bottom piece of extrusion, and as we set it down, it squished out the silicon in certain spots, and then wherever we didn't see that silicon come out, we just ran a bead along and wiped it off with our finger, and that's it. So we know that the bottom's definitely sealed. We'll have the sides sealed up tomorrow. That's the vent. That was the vent that I put into the side of the vanity, because originally this had a power point in there when it was in the other house, and obviously I can't run a power point there, but I had this nice little vent that I got from my previous workplace, or my second last previous workplace now, and I figured it would look alright, and it does look alright. It'll help the cabinet breathe, you know, if condensation gets in there. So yeah, that was a nice little. It just happened, you know. There was obviously a reason I picked that up from work when they were throwing it out. So it's come in beautiful. It's worked out really nice. It doesn't look out of place. It looks good. Mirror went in okay. We used a couple of tile spaces here, the crosses underneath. Now I know that the cabinet, the basin, is level 100%. Couldn't get it any closer if you tried. So what we did is we bought the crosses in, and we taped it with proper mirror tape on the back, and we ran a bead of silicon along. I think it stops about here, but we ran it up and across the top, and then stopped at the same distance on that side, and it's the same on the bottom. They're the only places that you run silicon. We put the mirror in, and we set it down on the crosses, and we obviously know the walls are out. Because we have a very, very tiny gap here. You won't see it, guys. This is dark, and I really do apologise, but you know, I can, when I do my final walkthrough with this on this bathroom in the next couple of days, I will have a light in here, because this gets hooked up in the morning, and you'll be able to see everything. But I just wanted to give you something to sort of chill on for a couple of days. But we got a little bit of a gap here, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it hard up against the tiles, but as we get to the top, it's there's like 0.5 mil gap, and then on this side we've got maybe, I don't know, 2 mil gap, and then it gets tied up against the shower frame here. But what do you do? What do you do? I made sure all these were plumb. Something's out. I'd say it's the wall, definitely the wall, because, and the reason I say that is because of the toilet. Now, I've been moving the bowl around to where I think it's straight, but when I look at the cistern seems to be angled slightly back on the left hand corner, and I could pack it out, but then I'm like with the mirror, I'm going to have a gap on the left hand side, and I don't want that. So I know that this wall here is out. It gets, somehow it gets deeper in that corner and shallower up this end. But then, as I pointed out also, with those cuts along the top, the roof's so far out that we start with something like 115 mil, and by the time we get round to this corner, we're like at 88 mil or something. And then it slowly starts to get bigger, so the cornice is actually rising in this corner. But I can't change the roof. I can't move joists and trusses and things like that, so you just got to work with what you got. So it is what it is, guys. You know, it's a $3,000 bathroom. I think it looks pretty good for $3,000 at this stage. Like I said, we've still got a few things to do, but you can pretty much see where we're going with this now. Got all the stuff there ready to go in, but we got to obviously got to do all the finish off the plumbing and put the LEDs in and the PowerPoint and all that stuff, and then this stuff will go in. I've had this stuff in, and it looks great. It really does look great. So I'm happy, and yeah, I can't, for the price, I can't complain. It's been a hard slog to get it to this stage. Like I said, the last bathroom I had Paul help me for up to a certain point. He was able to give me a hand, and then he got busy, and but I just kept going from there. With this one, it's been a complete solo effort. So there's been all the different trades involved, from carpentry to tiling to bricklaying to plumbing to plastering to painting and everything else in between. So yeah, carpet joining. Carpet joining. So, oh, that's another thing too. Oh, yeah, I stuck this in with silicone just for the moment, because when I get the new carpet installed, obviously that's gonna have to come up. So I didn't want to use the plugs, the proper mounting plugs for that at this point in time, because they're really hard to get out, and they're really fucking expensive too, surprisingly. So I've just siliconed that down, and that's fine. I believe these days that most builders actually, that's what they do. They silicone it down, and they don't use the plugs because the plugs are so expensive. So yeah, I've just done what anyone else would do. But yeah, it's been good. it's given me a chance over the last couple of days to get a few things cleaned up here. We've been able to empty the wardrobe of all the tools, and I've been able to move some stuff out of the second bedroom into here, which is really good, because I've got to get that bedroom cleaned up before my brother gets here on the 7th of December. And yeah, basically try and stuff this thing from floor to ceiling with everything that's in that room. Whether I can get to it or not is another story, but that's the plan. So what's going to happen in the coming week? Okay, besides finishing off what I said I need to finish off in that bathroom, I'm going to cut a little bit of carpet out of here. I wasn't going to do this till the new carpet got laid, but I'm going to cut the carpet and drop those skirting boards down and probably nail them home, finish them off. I'm going to put the skirting architrave up around the opening of the wardrobe. Jury's still out on whether to paint these gold frames. Now, I know it's very 80s looking, but it sort of does go well with the timber. So, I don't know. If I paint them, they're probably going to get painted black to match the window. That's just a matter of time. I've got to have good weather to be able to take this stuff outside and paint it all. It's all obviously got to be dismantled, because I'm not going to mask up those entire mirror doors. I'll just pull the thing apart and just hit it with some wet and dry and repaint everything, because it's way too expensive to buy new doors, and this stuff will spray up alright, no problem. So but the architrave will go in this week coming. If we stay on track, I will cut the plasterboard out of here, and I'll start to remove the studs in that section of wall, and then frame it out up the top there to go, we need something to go above the window. So the window I'm putting in there is exactly the same as this, so I can take measurements off this. I'm going to pull the architrave off this as well, so I can expose all that timber work and get precise measurements, and have all that ready, have all those architraves ready for when the window gets put in here. I'll remove this bottom piece of architrave along here too, along this wall, because this one needs to go on that wall, and the one that came off that wall, which is sitting in the living room at the moment, is going to go on that wall, simply because of length. This one ends up stopping here somewhere, but it's the perfect length for there, because obviously we've done a 90-degree turnaround, put the wardrobe there when it used to be here, so now we have to swap the architraves around. We've got to do a 90 with them as well. So yeah, we'll try and get all those things pulled out during the week. And I'm not going to start pulling brickwork out yet, and the reason being is I need to paint that window, and that's going to take me at least 3 days, because being an enamel, oil-based enamel, it takes about 24 hours to dry. I've got to paint it outside, so I have to have the right weather to be able to leave that window outside. Okay, it's Monday. I've had my bestie come over today, Paul, and we've wired in the 3-in-1. So real happy with that. So we've got the light on there, as you can see. We've got our exhaust fan, and we've got our heaters. I've got a globe out, but it all works. So really happy with that. maybe for the video I'll leave the heater on because it will give us some more light in here. Now, I spoke about some right angle trim to cover up this other trim that had all the cutouts exposed in it. So that right angle trim has gone in today. I've got to clean up because we've had that 3-in-1 unit out and all the insulation from the roof has dropped down in here, so there's still a lot of dust. But this is a very clean piece of right angle, so I'm very happy with it. It glued in quite nice. Just used some clear silicone. So we will, as you can see, look, I'm scraping something off now. There's just bits of, it's just grime. It just needs to be sort of, you know, cleaned properly. Now I've sort of hung the door today. I can't close it for you at the moment because in the top of this one here, there's actually a magnet. Now that magnet should clip in, but it doesn't. So I've had to glue it with some silicone, and if I close the door, it's going to basically get ripped out because as you can see, the silicone's there. I've just put it in. So one little issue I do have is that when the door can swing either way, in or out. One issue I do have are these handles. Now, as you remember me probably saying in a couple of videos back, I wanted to get the other handles that I have in the other bathroom, but the only place that I can get them is my former workplace, and then I'd have to go down there and suck up to the guys. Well, if I got them, they'd finish here. So they come straight out and they're square. I wouldn't have this piece here. Well, it turns out that this piece is actually just clipping the glass by about 3 mil. That's all, 3 mil. But if I get the other handles that I want, it'll clear. There's no issue with me opening the door inwards for now, provided I remember that when I'm in there, I have to open the door inwards and not outwards, otherwise I'm going to end up smashing the glass against the handle and we're going to be up for a new door. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. Siliconed in all along the two sides today, top to bottom, so that went in really good. Managed to get the obviously we got lights running and everything, so I got that power point screwed in, but I forgot to get a mounting bracket for this one. And there was another one. I had to get Paul to switch out or take the light switch and put it into this spare switch in the ceiling fan switch. Okay, so yeah, I know it all sounds confusing, but I think you know what I'm trying to say if you've watched the other videos. So I had a single light switch here, and I wanted to take the wires out of the back of that and put it into this one which wasn't being used, and we've done that. But again, I don't have a bracket, so I've just used a couple of plasterboard screws to hold that in tonight. So tomorrow I'll go to the hardware and I will get 2 brackets to mount that light switch and that power point. Now the other power point has been mounted in the back there, so that is all ready to go. The plumbing isn't done as yet, so in the way of water supply everything is done, but in the way of drainage it's not done, and I'll tell you the reason why in a second. But you can also see that we've taken the LED out. Now we thought we'd lay it all out on the kitchen bench, and Paul needed to do a diagram because he hadn't done any of those sensor switches for a while, so he had to work out how the circuit would continue to run when one door's open and one door's closed, or vice versa, so that it would all work the way it's meant to. And he did that, and it's all working fantastic. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take you guys into the kitchen. So I've got to adjust some doors here too. I've got to do some adjustments on hinges. Got a big gap here. I've got nothing there. But yeah, that's just teething problems. But we'll get there. We'll get all that out of the way. Also, I didn't get a chance to go down to the hardware today to change or to get a refund on that hose that was missing the rubber washer, and I didn't get a chance to go to the plumbing place because obviously my bestie was here, so we concentrated on finishing off all the electricals. So we're in the kitchen now, so I'll get onto the LED part of it first. So, as all good electricians do, to make sure they get it right the first time, Paul's done his little sketch here to work out contact points and all that sort of stuff. So basically, the way all this is sitting now is this all works. This all works on these little switches. He's wired it all in. Now, it's not wired into the configurations of the cabinet, so I may have to shorten up some cables. As long as I just do one thing at a time, I should be right to make the modifications I need to the length of the cable and then stick all this in the next couple of days. So this is not a priority anymore because it's all up and running and it works great. Now, plumbing issues. Take a look at these drains, these plugs. Now, you see these little cutouts in the side? This is if you've got an overflow basin. And for those of you that don't know what an overflow basin is, I'll show you in here. So, an overflow basin basically has a cutout in it where if you fill the sink too high, it'll go through that hole and go down into drain and basically drain, so you don't get overflow. Well, when I bought these two, I had another vanity that I was going to install, and it did have overflows on it, so I ordered the ones for the overflows. But now this vanity I've got does not have the provisions for overflows, so the problem I'm going to get is when that gets lowered into the vanity, water here could possibly leak out. You do have a big rubber washer that goes underneath here, but for a non-overflow sink you shouldn't have these cutouts in there. So what I'm going to do is I've done something similar on a motorbike engine casing, where a chain doubled over on the front sprocket and basically punched a hole into the casing, and I needed to plug that hole because it was very expensive to buy another casing. So what I'm going to do is get a soft drink can, Coke can, Fanta, whatever, for the aluminium, and I'm going to use some JB Weld, and I'm actually going to cover these slots in. Now I know it will work, 100% it will work. So you know, because I have done it on something similar that holds engine oil, and where we're talking about an engine that, you know, is can get extremely hot, has crankcase pressure, gets ridden in all types of conditions, mud, dirt and everything, and that patch is actually held up on that motor for about 30, be close to nearly 35 years. So I know it works. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut out a couple of little strips of Coke can and JB Weld them over the top, and then I can stick them in. The other thing that I found, because an overflow sink obviously is a little deeper for the, so it can actually pick up these cutouts. When I put the nut on and I wind it all the way to the top here, it's still a little bit loose inside the basin. So what I need to do is I need to get, I could still use the same rubber washer, but I need to get, say, a hard plastic washer that's about 2 or 3 threads thick, just to take up that little bit of extra metal that they have here. So yeah, unfortunately I can't fit those, and I don't buy cans of soft drinks, so I've got to go and knock on the next door neighbour's door and ask them if they have a soft drink can in their recycling bin. And this will only take a couple of hours for me to cut it out, glue it in, for it to dry, and then I can go and stick it straight in. And when I go down to the plumbing hardware tomorrow, I'll see if I can pick up a couple of hard washers to go on here to take up that space that I need to take up, and we should be done. The right angled plastic elbow I was talking about for the toilet that goes from the cistern to the bowl, this is it. I need to basically buy another one of these, which I'll pick up at the plumbing supplies tomorrow as well. And this is, as you know, this is our hose that we need to return, and I'm going to try and pick up a hose with a 90-degree elbow on each end to then finish off all the plumbing in the bathroom. And yeah, once the plumbing's done, then I'll go and do the LED. I don't want to have 2 jobs running at once. So yeah. Okay guys, I'll leave it here and I'll see you in the next video.